Let me decrease this. Hi everyone, I'm Grant and I'm part of the Lu group. We're trying to make an app for ASDRP connecting features like sign-in and forms into a single system. Here's what I'll cover today. First, a quick intro about me. Then the purpose of the project and a short demo in which I'll show the current UI, starting with what my teammates did and ending with the profile explorer that I worked on. Finally, I'll go over our next steps and take some questions. I'm Grant, and I'm a senior at the King's Academy. I joined ASDRP in the summer of 2024, and in my first semester, I learned about the best practice of coding, like documentation, code reviews, and version control with Dennis Liu. In my second semester, I worked on Project Deep Freezer, where we were trying to use OCR technology to scan the temperature off of ASDRP's freezer and alert the advisors if there's an error with the temperature. I started working on the app this summer, and I worked on the profile viewer, calendar, and Google Sign-in portions. I already learned Swift in 9th grade, which is the language we're using for this project, but I had to relearn things as we worked on the project. Now that you know a bit about me, I'll explain why we started the project. We wanted to build an app that was easy to access and use without feeling overwhelmed. We already have an ASDRP website. How many of you guys have used it? For example, but it's not very focused. For example, most people in the computer science department will never have to use the chem inventory button on the website. Instead, we wanted something that students would actually use every day. We tried simplifying the calendar by highlighting important forms, deadlines, and upcoming events, since those often get lost in the clutter. We also wanted a way for students to share their projects more easily within ASDRP and make things clear for new students by helping them find advisors and understand how the program works. With that in mind, we started at the beginning of the summer of 2025. We started by throwing out all the ideas we had out there, like the calendar, chatbot, and forms. And so we started wireframing our UI at the same time. So you could see on the right side, we just made a general layout of everything. And we divided up responsibilities according to who wanted to do what, so we didn't overlap work. Now I'm going to give a demo on some of those features, starting with the Google sign-in. So this is the app, and every user has to sign in with an ASDRP account. So sign in, continue, and I'll click my account. Now, I don't have to put in my password since I'm signing back in, but if you were signing in for the first time, you'd have to put your password. So here you can see our current UI. On the top left is the ASDRP logo, which you can see is animating. On the top right is the profile and settings. So you can change things like your app style. Pretty cool. And on the middle, we have an important forms section for important forms, and then it'll also be for required events. So like Expo. And then we also have a section here for just upcoming events. So it'll just be the events in your Google Calendar sorted by date. And so originally we were thinking about having a full calendar in the app, which is this bottom left piece on the bottom. But we're putting that off for now due to some difficulties. It's kind of difficult to connect it up with with the Google Calendar correctly. So the important forms and upcoming events section should be enough for now. I want to point out this pretty cool feature we thought of right below that. So right here, this section for advisors on campus. So it'll just show all the advisors that are on campus scrolling through. And if you need to see if your advisor is on campus, you could just scroll through here manually. And so it adds a bit of movement to the app, and it'll be useful for the life sciences labs where students need their advisors to be on campus to actually work on their projects. And it was based on a stock ticker, so that's why it keeps moving. It was actually Dennis's idea. So the bottom section here is how you access the rest of the app. And I'll let's look at the sign-in. So this is the campus sign-in, which one of my other teammates worked on. So you'll be able to sign in and out of campus, and it'll save the history. So it'll be useful for labs to track their students. And so we right now for ASDRP we have the the iPad thing in the front. When you enter, you're supposed to click on it, sign in. It's kind of a hassle, so it'd be better to have it in the phone, and it'd also be cheaper. Next, let's go on the slides. I skipped a few slides. Next, I'll talk about the chatbot. So it's this button right here. My teammate Shoya worked on this a lot. The ASDRP website has a chatbot, but it will be easier for people to access the ASDRP chatbot through the phone app. I'm going to ask the chatbot who Mr. Liu is. Who is Mr. Liu? And so it'll think for a second, and then it will give me the answer as long as the closest ASDRP document. So the way it works is we give the chatbot an internal ASDRP document, and it returns the most relevant documents based on the question. And it's programmed to not answer if it's not sure about it. So we'll just wait for it for a sec for it to run. So this is the description of my advisor here. And now I'll ask it something random. So something random. Okay. And so it should say that it can't find it in the ASDRP docs, since obviously this doesn't have anything to do with ASDRP. Another cool feature we have is the profile editor on the top right. So my teammate Ayush made this, so you can click here. As you can see, I have some things in my profile right now, but if I want to change it, then I have to go into the draft mode. And so you could add the description, profile picture, your projects, and presentations that you've done in the past, and paper. So if I try submitting it for review right now, it's going to complain because I don't have a profile picture because I took it out. So I'll put this as my profile picture, use the photo, and since it's the same as approved, yeah, thanks for that in the chat. Thanks for that in the chat, yeah. And so it won't let you submit it for review since it's the same as the approved section. So let me change something in here so I could actually show you how this works. So I'll add, or maybe I'll add a presentation. So colloquia, and the date is today. Description, colloquia for the app. And I could add contributors. The date is today, so I don't have to change that. And then I need to add a image. So I'll just add the image of our app, use the photo. Then I'll save it. And so now you could see if I scroll down, I can see that I've added the presentation. And so now, if I go back and check my profile, you'll notice that I don't have the presentation here. So I actually have to go back to the draft, submit it for review. And so students will have to submit their profile for review by their advisors, and then their advisors will have to approve it for other people to see it. It's because we didn't want people putting misinformation and other things on the app. So for the purposes of testing, we just have an approve button, but eventually it'll be the advisor. So I'll approve the changes, go back to my profile, and now you can see that my presentation is here. So you can select emojis, you could delete the things by swiping right. It's pretty cool. And then you could also add contributors. So these will be the other people who work on your project. In this case, I don't need to add them, so I'll just click on somebody else's account. So okay, that's empty. That's an empty account. So this will be sort of what you see when you check other people's ASDRP accounts. So it'll look like this right here. Let me leave an emoji. Now we save all this data in with this system. So all the ASDRP data in general is on HubSpot, and then the admin moves some of that data into the Google Drive. And then we get that data from the Google Drive and shove it into a wrapper function. So it's using Firebase system. So the wrapper function will take your email or some other identifier and then give you back your data from the Google Drive, so you don't have anyone else's personal data. So, and it gives back that data, that personal data, to the app. So it goes from the app to the app gives the identifier to the wrapper function. The wrapper function then gets the specific user data from the Google Drive, and then it gives it back to the app. And so that's how the data side of this works. So we kind of need somewhere to be able to view other people's profiles. So I ended up making a profile explorer in the app. So it's this bottom right selection is the project. So you can zoom in and out, scroll, and click on people. So it's empty for now because it's just test data, right? We don't have any actual users on. And then if you go far enough away from the center, it'll clamp you, so you can't go too far away. So it won't let you go too far from the, so it'll stop you so you can see it snapping. It won't let you go too far. So all the zoom and scroll is actually just based on scaling and moving individual UI elements. So it's simulated. And it took a bit of math to do that. And then you notice on the top here, this red triangle is just an arrow showing us where the middle is, so users never get lost. So we started with like a very broad idea of what we wanted to do. All we knew is we wanted to be able to show the profile somehow. So I started with an idea of a masonry UI. So you could see it at number 1, the image next to number 1, the squares. So it would be the profile, the name, advisor on like a square, but we weren't sure how we would distribute space evenly, and so we kind of skipped that. And then the flat list, just like having names and pictures next to them, that would be too boring. So we wanted something more interesting. And so we decided to try making something custom with circles. So I started making the profiles in a circular arrangement, but obviously it didn't look good with more scale, and it was just for testing. And so I tried putting all the circles in a spiral, but it ended up looking rigid in the app. And so I tried making something less rigid with a physics-based attempt. So each profile would act as a particle and it would have forces on the other particles. But it was too complicated, and even once the app started, it kept jiggling, so it wouldn't work. So I decided on using a Fermat spiral, which was symmetrical, scalable, and nice to look at. And it was also mathematically predictable, so it let us do the clamping with just math. Uh, so that's how our Profile Explorer view came together. Now here's what's next for our project. We plan to add versions for advisors, add searching / other quality of life features to the Profile Explorer, and beta test, hopefully by the end of the next semester. We have some other reach goals for later, like the calendar I was talking about. So I was thinking about a way to organize the Google Calendar with like a system of tags. Now, this doesn't have to be in the app, but you would basically just apply a tag to an event. Like for a computer science mini course, you'd put computer science, like Python, introduction to Python. You'd put computer science, and then people with the computer science tag would be able to see that. But it doesn't have to be in the app. It could just be a Google Calendar thing. Another reach goal would be like a TikTok-like system, like ASDRP Reels or something. So the idea would be that teams at ASDRP could share short videos of their project without leaking any information. Now, that's a pretty wild idea, but it's pretty cool for the future. That's all I had for today. So are there any questions?